Welcome to Night Class, everybody. Today, we're talking about mental health, a topic that's so hot right now, even TikTok is catching on. Youth. Basically, everyone is talking about mental health. Even boomers took some time off from rewatching Ford versus Ferrari to say this.
For teenagers, issues like peer pressure, academic expectations, and changing bodies. You're going through that right now, aren't you, at your house?
It was a long time ago that I was a teenager, Dr. Shives. Thank you.
Well, all those things can cause a lot of ups and downs, highs and lows. But for some teens, the lows are more than just temporary feelings. They're a symptom of depression.
But Joe Biden's speechwriter has a point. Mental health is a huge issue right now, particularly for young people. Over the past 10 years, the rate of anxiety and depression among college-age students has doubled. A 2018 report even showed that over 40% of college students said they had once felt so depressed they had difficulty functioning. It's why the most popular classes this year have been Sad Breathing 101 and Advanced Grout Fitting, finding your way to gray from 50 Shades to Kim and Ye. And it's easy to see why students our age are feeling like this. College debt is growing at an astronomical rate. We hear every day about how we'll have to grow gills to survive 2050, and social media messes with our sense of self-worth in a way that past generations never had to deal with. 65% of Gen Zers check Instagram on a daily basis, which has been called the worst social media outlet for your mental health. That's worse than Facebook. And how do you get rated worse than Facebook? It's the only social media outlet with your parents on it, and Mark Zuckerberg looks like his own deepfake. So when we get overwhelmed or anxious, we try to take a step back, but we can't because we feel an intense pressure to succeed. If we complain about this, the only thing we're told is,
rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. That's a third of your life. It ain't but 24 hours in a day. You cannot be sleep 8 hours a day.
I like to imagine that studio is empty and Steve Harvey is just your uncle that used to coach wrestling. So it's no wonder that Gen Z and mental health issues go hand in hand. In 2018 alone, 54% of college students attended counseling for mental health concerns, with 34% taking medication for it. Take North Dakota State, where the number of mental health counseling appointments in the last decade jumped by over 600%. Things have gotten so bad, even their beloved mascot Thunder checked into therapy after stress eating that plate of buffalo sliders. But all of this is why people are calling our current state of affairs a mental health crisis.
This is a crisis, an epidemic.
Nearly 48 million U.S. adults experienced a mental illness in 2018.
We're seeing incredible increases.
It's way past time that we deal with this in a way that we would deal with any other public health crisis.
If you don't go to USC, you might think we're an exception. I mean, how can you be depressed here? After all, according to SoundCloud rappers, this is what going to our school is like.
I ain't been sober in a week. Bitch, I go to USC, USC, USC. Bitch, I go to USC, USC, USC.
Obviously, this video is exaggerated. I ain't been sober in 3 months. It's something called rallying, Mr. 24K Golden. Perhaps you've heard of it. But students have been petitioning for better mental health resources here on campus since as early as 2013. This got us thinking. At USC, what more could you need for your mental health? We have therapy services, drop-in counseling, and Instagram corgis named Captain Cheddar. And look how confident that little loaf is. When's the last time you showed some fanny for the gram like that? If Captain Cheddar is steering this ship, I'm going down with him. So we decided to talk to one USC student about what's wrong with these mental health resources. Has USC done enough?
No.
Okay. Why?
What has it done?
Bo the mental health dog. Have you not consulted with him? Have you not worked with him at all?
I gotta say, Bo's advice has not been the most useful to me.
Really? And why is that?
He's a dog.
Okay.
So.
Do you
doesn't really have a lot of.
Okay. I have at least one expert quote here from Bo, and it is.
Well.
Might work for some people, might not work for others. Getting a therapist, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen a therapist on USC's campus?
I have.
You have?
Well, not
on USC's
not
campus?
on USC's campus, no.
Why not? Did you not? It's very convenient to see a therapist on USC's campus.
It wasn't actually when I tried.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't have any for me. They decided that I wasn't in urgent enough danger to receive counseling on campus, and so they referred me to counselors off campus.
So they said, it's bad, but not that bad.
Pretty much.
When you called them, right? What would you agree with them in saying that you didn't need to talk to somebody immediately?
No.
No.
I think I probably would have benefited from talking to someone that week.
Okay, so maybe everything's not all right. Let's take a look at why. First, like so many issues at USC, it has something to do with the Engemann Health Center. There are few things that USC students criticize more than Engemann. Think of Engemann like Clay Helton. USC swears he'll get better, but do they really believe that? Engemann's mental health resources in particular have a bad reputation. Students like Roma often complain about the arduous process of getting to see a therapist. First, you have to go online to schedule a phone call. Then you have to tell them why you want to see a therapist. If your case is severe enough, you may get to see one. But it's much more likely that you'll be referred to a site somewhere off campus because until this year, USC has been below the recommended ratio of clinicians to students. So you're just as likely to see a therapist on USC's campus as you are hitting it off with your next bumble date. It could work. It definitely won't, but it might. This meant that Engemann historically referred 70% of students seeking therapy to practices somewhere off campus. But if someone calls and says they need help, the first thing you do shouldn't be to refer them somewhere else. That's like calling the fire department about your burning house and them saying, hey, here's a list of 6 other fire departments you can call. We'd help you out, but all we got on staff right now is Frank. And this hose, but it's leaking. This, admittedly, is something Engemann is working on right now. They've just added 12 new staff members to try and match this wave of students seeking help, and even unveiled a new floor for mental health services.
It's here really in recognition that seeking mental health services in the community is really difficult. There was an institutional decision to just build a very special clinic.
That's right. Not only do they have plugs in the wall, but they've also got some sexy otoscopes behind their reception desk. And yes, we had to Google what an otoscope was. All jokes aside, this is a step in the right direction, and this is something USC students should be happy about. Engemann and a lot of other USC institutions have made a real push this year to make themselves available to students. We get emails, it seems like, almost every day about a new mental health Q&A with professors who are truly concerned for us and want to learn more about this unique problem our generation is dealing with. And the fact that the school is finally reacting to this problem is great, but that doesn't mean it's going away anytime soon. Here's what we mean. When a student calls DPS because they're worried about another student's mental health, DPS officers can put that student on something that's called a 5150 hold. That means that this student is placed under involuntary psychiatric hold for 3 whole days. The same month Engemann opened their new floor for counseling services, there were 20 5150 holds made by DPS. That means that there were 20 times this November when students were considered too unsafe to be on their own. And that's just when DPS heard about it. To be clear, this isn't a bad policy at all, but it says something when these holds are being handed out like Pontiac G6s on Oprah. And just like involuntary hold, no one wants a Pontiac G6. What we're seeing with these numbers is an epidemic of students who have become so mentally upset that others are concerned for their health. These are the signs of a crisis. And to the Gen Zers watching right now, I'm sure none of this shocks you. At this point, we've become so desensitized to tragedy that we react to it the same way we hear about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson doing a crossover movie with Kevin Hart. No one needs this. I know it's going to keep happening, and how can this possibly be different than the last one? We have to remember that more than ever, students are feeling helpless. 9 students have died here at USC this semester. And while they haven't all been directly related to students' mental health, that alone takes a toll. Students need an outlet. They need someone to reach out to, and whether we like it or not, that can't always be provided by a university. It's something we spoke to Roma about too. People are calling this a mental health crisis, right? Would you agree?
Yeah, I would actually.
Okay, why?
I don't think I have ever experienced this level of distress in my classmates. There's pretty much on a given day, I can expect to hear statements of hopelessness about the future, how pointless their lives are.
The administration, in your words, has not done enough.
Yes.
Students, what can we do?
Well, I think students do a lot already, actually. I think a majority of the work being done on campus to help people out of depressive spirals, anxiety attacks, suicidal ideation is being done by their peers, and that's kind of the problem. I've personally talked a few friends off of the ledge. I know people who've done the same for me when I've been in a troubling situation.
For someone who might be in a state of distress right now, what is your message to them?
Right now is not how your future is going to look for the rest of your life. I think it's very easy to get caught up in the fact that right now, the age that we are is the oldest we've ever been, and the thing that we're feeling right now is the most recent thing that we've ever felt, and it's hard to get a sense of that perspective that nothing is ever going to make or break your entire existence.
Right.
I think that's kind of been the primary cause of distress that I've seen, and I would just like to say that it's not true. Nothing is that drastic.
So let's be clear. We absolutely must keep demanding better mental health care from our universities. This problem won't go away on its own. Today, the day we're filming this episode, we're only 5 days into the month and DPS has already responded to 3 attempted suicides. One was yesterday. And while these are USC students, this problem is bigger than just USC. For Gen Zers, we might have come to believe that mental health problems are normal, but they don't have to be. You can blame school culture and lack of infrastructure, but the reality is this is a crisis that's facing our whole generation. And as we work on creating better resources for ourselves, we also have to make sure that we can be a resource as well. And this starts with communication. You don't have to be perfect all the time. Every decision you make won't define the rest of your life. Getting sleep or taking time for yourself doesn't mean you'll be less successful. And Steve Harvey's just yelling at an empty room. Yes, right now we're stressed and we're anxious, but it doesn't always have to be like this. This is our last episode of the semester, which means that this is right around final season. Please check in with friends. If they seem fine or if they don't, it can't do anything but help. This might be a crisis, but like all the other issues we face in the coming years, the solution starts with us. None of us are helpless, and we're in this thing together. You, me, and even Captain Cheddar. Let's make sure we all know that.